you to know, young man, that your heart may be in the right place, and you may love Yakima, and you may think that you're cut out to do this job, but it's just not going to happen the first time around. Now, how do you think at 20 years old, hearing that as somebody who is right out of high school, pretty naive about life, wanting to do something good, being denied opportunities, whether it's to serve on boards or commissions or to get involved some way, I mean, that really does something to your psyche. And I could have, if I was smart enough, probably said, yes, I don't know what this job's about, and I'll probably just go ahead and finish my college and go on with my life. And I might have done that, but for whatever reason, I was passionate about Yakima, and I wanted to do something to make a difference in my community.
Amen.
And had I listened to those people, I wouldn't be standing here today. Now, I'd also probably have a college degree and a large salary. But it's not everything. In fact, you can still dress nice on a poor man's salary. I work in radio as my day job. And I got up this morning, and Christina, my wife, who took her grandma to church and couldn't be with us, had said, "Why are you wearing a black belt and black dress shoes with navy?" I guess I couldn't tell that was navy, and apparently black and navy do not work. So at least if you don't get anything out of this, know that black and navy don't go together. You'll be able to dress pretty well. When Sean wanted to meet with me, was it a few months ago? I got a message, and I get a lot of messages from a lot of people, and they want to get together, and they want to talk about something they're working on, which is good. They want to talk about something I can do for them, which is always good to hear. And Sean wanted to get together. He said, "Hey, Micah, let's just meet for coffee. I just want to talk to you about something real quick." So knowing him from school, all right, let's figure out a way to fit it in the schedule. We got together. And I sat down, and I was a little taken back. He just said, "I wanted to let you know that we're praying for you at our church. I want to let you know that I've been thinking about you, and I want to know if there's anything I can do to help you." And that was probably the first time in a long time that that's happened, where somebody just reached out and said, "We're here to help you. We want to be there for you." And that to me was amazing. And then the invitation came to come speak to you today. Now, I've given a lot of speeches, and a lot of them become routine after a while. You know how that is? And I don't like routine speeches. I could pull out something that I put together about, here's the 20 priorities of Yakima, and here's all the great things that we've done. But I want to tell you today that Yakima is at a crossroads.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, having traveled around, having seen other cities, having been to a lot of different communities, is we are right there on the cusp of greatness. And
Amen.
what I mean by that is, it's partially with the people that live here, with the economy that we have, and with where we're going as a city. And do we want to build it for the future, or do we want to stay the same and let it become what it's going to be? And there's a lot of different projects and things going on that we've had to make some tough decisions on. And I'm sure one of them you've heard about is the plaza. And some of you may or may not agree with the parking issue or not. But when I put things in perspective for Yakima, is you've got to step back and create a vision for the city. And I used to not like that word when I was running for office, because what does that mean? What's a vision for Yakima? You know, we haven't defined who we are and what we're going to be. You know, Walla Walla has their niche, so to speak. Seattle has what they've got going on in Spokane. And so as you look at defining what the future of the city is going to be, you need to make your voice heard, and I'm sure you've heard this from other speakers as well, with what you want in the city. I mean, we're leaders that want to help you with the basic issues of crime, public safety, but what do we want to do as a city? Some of the greatest things I've been able to do are as mayor, and I would never have those opportunities had I not become the mayor. And people do treat you differently, which I don't like, because I'm the same person. And at the end of the year when I'm not the mayor, I'm interested to see how life progresses forward. But you also need to take people that are in positions of influence and authority, and you greet them, you treat them kindly, and then you build a relationship with them. And I think this is a people world and a people business. So if there's anything that you want to see done, whether you like this project or not, you need to build a relationship with the people that are in a position to do something about it, and communicate with them in a way that they understand you. And everybody here has a story. It's so interesting. I was looking around the room at the faces and the different kinds of people we have and where you've all come from. And I'm curious as far as, how did you grow up? You know, why are you in Yakima? Is it because your family's here? Is it because your job is here? And we're so busy today that we don't take time to really find out who people are. And it's so sad. I was driving down with my fiance at the time to take her out to dinner. And we're walking, or driving by, and there's this gentleman walking across the sidewalk, and he's kind of stumbling. And he looks like he's about to fall. And we see this, and sure enough, he falls down almost in the road. We almost hit him, and there's another car behind us. And we pull over in the driveway to stop, and this other car pulls in, and we get out, and we talk to this guy, and he's clearly not right. Something's wrong. We're trying to make it down to dinner, but obviously a gentleman just fell on the road, so you want to make sure he gets some help. And another gentleman pulls up, happens to be sitting here today, Larry, and his wife. They must have been heading down somewhere as well. And we get out and we're talking. I'm like, you look familiar. I know you. He goes, you look familiar. Okay, good. I guess maybe we have this guy that we need to help. And we started talking, and Larry goes, you know what? We'll just put him in our car. And he said he lived down the road. He had lost his place where his vehicle was, and Larry's going to help him, and his wife are going to help him get back to where he's going. Okay, great. So we don't need to call the police. He's going to be taken care of. And so I thought, okay, we're going to get back in the car, head down to dinner. Larry's going to help this gentleman find his car, which is right around the corner. That's what the guy said. My truck's right around the corner. It wasn't right around the corner. And Larry can attest to that. So thinking about that as I'm having dinner that evening, I wonder what happened. Is, Larry and his wife okay? This gentleman get the help he needed? And so I ended up talking to Larry, tracking him down at his job and saying, hey, what happened? He goes, yeah, we realized his car wasn't around the corner. We had called the police and got this guy some help. And as you know, a lot of people could have just driven by. I mean, it's someone else's problem. But to pull over and stop and to have somebody offer to help, I had given Larry a little community service award. He might still have it. It doesn't mean much. But it lets you know that we recognize that you offered to help somebody in need in your community. And as simple as that may be, it could be something that you do on a daily basis. Whether it's smiling at somebody or talking to them or trying to get them the assistance they need or make that connection instead of being so busy or so worried about our own lives that we neglect those that are in need. Right. And it's so tough being at this crossroads as a city is we're trying to build homeless shelters, but we can't decide where to put it. We have no problem giving money as a city to help you build this building, but we're not sure if we want it there. The Union Gospel Mission, as you know, has been under fire. And I've been talking to their people, and I've been through a tour of that facility. I know a ton of folks that have helped serve there. Is we want to place blame on the problem sometimes on those that are giving help. Because, well, you're bringing these people to us. And we've given a stigma that being poor or being helpless, it's kind of like, oh, I can't talk to you. Oh, I can't approach you. I will tell you that that my wife's dad is a psychiatric pharmacist. And I have learned more about pharmacy than I've ever wanted to know. It's been helpful with what medications I should take or shouldn't take based on what he knows because he understands all that stuff. But he deals with the mentally ill every day. And I will tell you this, that it is going to be a major problem in our society moving forward, and especially in Yakima, is mental health of people. Yes. Even myself, and I will tell you this, that as confident as I may seem, and as the image that I may present on social media, it's hard in today's world to survive in politics. And we set ourselves up for success, but when we fail, we don't know how to deal with it. And we've protected. You ever heard of helicopter parents? They're always over their kids. I think I'll be like this before, like when you had the baby and he dropped the elephant, and I was like, well, this is a Republican. It's just an elephant. But I'm watching the innocence of this young child, and I'm thinking that when I'm a parent, I'm going to be coddling them when they cry, and they always say, oh, you got to let them cry. But as we get older, and I think more and more in today's world, we want to protect our kids, which is a good thing, but we don't want to let them fail and understand and learn those lessons. So as I won my first election at 20 years old, and I'm laying in bed the night before I got elected going, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm praying, and I'm visualizing it, and I'm thinking it's going to happen, and it does happen. And that to me was like, well, what do I do now? And trust me, when you walk into City Hall at 20 years old and you're a city council member, you're like on this board of directors, you're the boss, and I've never been the boss, or one of the bosses, and I've never been treated like that. Like, well, what do you want to do? What do you mean what do I want to do? You're supposed to tell me what to do. What's my job? You know, I'm kidding a little bit that I kind of know what you do, but having won that election, been reelected, and then I ran for auditor, that was a good experience for me, and it was tough. So I lost my first election. And trust me, you think you're invincible. You're like, oh great, I'm doing these great things. I'm the young guy on the scene. I'm going to make all these changes. I'm going to do all these things with the voters pamphlet and get people to care again in a world that's very difficult. And I don't get that opportunity. And you look at, well, what's wrong with me? Well, did I do something wrong? Did I not campaign hard enough? Did I not raise enough money? Did I, and you do all these things. No, it's for whatever reason. I was meant to lose that election, whether it's part of God's plan for my life that you don't want to accept, because sometimes there are choices that we're asked to live with. So how do you adapt from that? I was a little bit depressed. I was kind of like, your feelings are hurt. Then I went and read all the comments on social media about city council stuff. My feelings were more hurt. And I thought, well, what do I do now? Am I meant to be in politics? And last night I'm out at a fundraiser, and this gentleman comes up. Tim Adams, he does the weather on NBC. And he's like, oh, I loved your wedding photos, and I could see you guys in the Senate someday. I'm like, but I just lost an election. He was like, oh, I didn't even know you ran. We live in Tri-Cities, which is fine. But the point is, he still believes in me. He sees something that I don't see. And he gives me confidence and ability to go, you know what? For whatever reason this happened, I'm gonna figure it out, or maybe go back into it later in life. I would tell you that self-worth is so important, that you have to find yourself as somebody who's worthy of God's love. And as hard as it is, you think, you know, pastors and people need help. You had put up on Facebook about Dennis Smith, one of the first pastors that I had at Trinity Baptist Church growing up. And I looked up to Dennis, and I still stayed in touch over the years. But even our leaders need prayer and need help. Amen. And need to know that they are worth something. And so the impact that you can have on someone's life, even like Sean coming to me saying, hey, I appreciate the job you're doing great, you know. Those help build people up and give them the confidence they need to make the changes in life. So I know the kids went to kids' church, but as you're looking at taking a young person and helping them find the path, something they're passionate about, giving them the tools and inspiration, but the ability to make choices and fail, it's going to be extremely difficult with the world that we live in. And what I mean by that is, as anything that we do is scrutinized publicly. We were talking about this with Barbara just sitting here, like, you know, you make choices and people will love you or hate you or not, and no matter what you do. But I can't believe that people in our country would write things that they do online about leaders or about their friends, and even people that I'm friends with, things that they share. I mean, it just makes me go, man, you know, you're hurting. I want to reach out to you and help you, but I don't know you that well. And so how do you deal with this world today, and how do you teach young people to deal with this world today? Because it's much different. Everybody is friendly to your face for the most part, and would not say half of these things that they say online about you. And so when you're looking at how it impacts somebody, it made me want to go, I don't want to be involved in politics because I don't want to deal with that. I used to be afraid, not necessarily of criticism, but afraid to meet with people because I wasn't sure. You know, and you become as a leader, you become somewhat paranoid, and you've seen this in different instances. There's a point of disillusionment where you're kind of disillusioned by, I'm not sure that's a word, but you're disillusioned by the world. And I wish my dad had let me see a few more things. You know, I burnt my hand on the stove, which is fine. I was allowed to go out and, you know, stay out past my curfew. But I wasn't really exposed to a lot of the evil that's out there in the world. And what I mean by that is people you look up to that let you down, and how you constantly have to understand that we're all the same. We like to think we're all different, but we're all the same. We really are. We're all sinners. We all have a different purpose in this life. And sometimes as a young man, I have a brother who took kind of the wrong path, and he's had a really hard time with me being in this public position, because all my family says, oh, you're the mayor, you're this great person. We're the same, Pete. His name's Heath Samuel, which is a strong biblical name. My dad gave him on purpose. I'm Micah Daniel, Heath Samuel. And Heath and I have always he dropped out of school in the 6th grade. I was going off to trips to DC in the 9th grade. He was getting involved in drugs and alcohol, and I was, campaigning for people in office, and it was tough on our family, and so I was always hard on my brother. You kind of like when you get elected, you're young, you say, oh, you're kind of an embarrassment to, like, what are you doing? Police would call me, oh, I pulled your brother over, and I arrested your brother, and he said, I'm the mayor's brother, and wonderful, it sounds good. It's a true story. Just do what you need to do, I don't want to know about it. It's true. At least they gave me a courtesy call, which was nice. So after that, I went to his house, and we have had a great relationship when we were younger, and as we got older, I realized that I hadn't been around the family, my parents, all these people that I'd gone off doing these things in politics, but all these people and relationships that I had left behind were suffering. And they were all very proud, but they weren't going to tell me that they resented me not being able to show up for family holidays. And so we had a little sit down and cried out one night. Instead of going and yelling at him saying you're an embarrassment, I just said, what's going on? What's wrong? And it was tough. And so those real life situations, whether you're in a position of influence or authority or not, take place all over. And so to let my brother know that, I love you and I care about you, and to try to just not say you're living life wrong, or to not say anything other than I love you and care about you, is kind of a theme that I think people need to hear today, just so they know. I don't think they know. And that leads to redemption, because I think he had an incredibly difficult life growing up. Our mom left us at 2. I had a lot of mommy issues growing up, so my grandma used to make French toast and do all my clothes and set me up for failure in marriage because I didn't know how to do anything. I was helpless. I don't blame her for any of that. Grandma just loved us and tried to take care of us. But that redemption as a human being that you have, as far as learning how to do things on your own, and learning what leadership is, and learning about life, has been so important. And to know that as far away as I've strayed from God over the years, that He always wants to bring me back. And you mentioned in your song this morning, doesn't change. Well, we all change, and relationships change. And I think that's so important, that you have that constant bedrock of change and ability. And how do you make a difference with that? So this is funny. I was on my honeymoon. I just got married September 19th. And coming up on a 1-month anniversary. That's important. And we share an anniversary with my wife's parents. And they're wonderful people. And we haven't talked a whole lot about religion or Christianity or any of that stuff with them. But as we were on this honeymoon, we went the first week ourselves, and then her parents, who shared the same anniversary, came the second week to join us. And I was out on the lanai with her dad one evening, and the sun's setting, and we're just sitting there. And I just said, what do you believe happens when you die? I just wanted to ask that question, just to see where it led. And I remember having these conversations with my grandpa, and who didn't believe, but had different opinions about things. And so I think as you have an opportunity to ask questions of people and to build relationships with people, to see what maybe you can do for them, or what insight you can provide, is based on a simple question. You're not opening it up with, I'm from the church and I want to help you out, because so many people, back up on that. What's your motivation? So just ask those questions to people. People ask me, how'd you get where you are today? What's my answer? Because I'm super smart, very good looking, and people want to put me in office. That's one answer. Because God had a plan for my life, because as a young man I was raised to believe certain things, and it's so funny is when you try to ignore that, it always weighs on you. Yeah. You ever try to turn God away or acted embarrassed about something? It's the same feeling I have because I'm a big wrestling fan and I'm a toy collector, so I'll go to Toys R Us and I'll be buying toys, and I'll see somebody I know and I'll throw a toy. But when you get to a point where you're confident enough to know that, hey, I'm a fan of this, I believe in this. Maybe they'd ask me and I'll say it's for my nephew's birthday, but I could say that or not. I get to say it's for me. Because I like it, or I can say nothing. But the point is, there's a lot of instances or opportunities where you get a chance to to stand up and to say what you think and believe. And that's so important. Showing love to people is the last thing I want to leave you with, and what I mean by that is there are a lot of people that are hurting or making choices we think they shouldn't make. But as that love is shown, did you any of you go to the Luis Palau rally?
Yeah.
Anybody went to that rally? So Bill Cox is a friend of mine. I was in his office. We're talking about how I'm coming off city council. He goes, I wanted to send a message. It's a couple months late, but Luis asked how his favorite young mayor is doing. I said, well, you tell him back I'm doing fine. And this was 5 years ago. Can you believe that? 5 years ago that rally happened. And at the same day, we had an Elton John concert at the Sundome, which everybody was talking about. So you had a Luis Palau rally and an Elton John concert at the same time. But no matter who you come in contact with, Luis, as we were talking in the trailer, I got to go welcome the crowd. You know, the message about showing people love, and he wrote a book about an atheist and about his viewpoint, and he signed it, and I started to read that book. And it showed me no matter how far apart you are on something, you can always find a way to bring people together. Yes. And love is that common connection. Yes. So I will tell you that I appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you. I didn't really, I wrote some notes, but as Sean said, come share your heart. And this is what's been on my heart for Yakima. The future is bright. And as much as there's turmoil with elections and it's a little bit tough to go through all this change, it'll be okay. Our worst day in this country is some people's best day. Amen. And when I'm feeling sorry for myself or I'm having a problem, I'm looking around going, I got a roof over my head, I got great food, and there are people in this city that don't have any of that. The last thing I'll say is I was raising charity for 10 Deeds in 10 Days. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Raising money. And we were out, and there were people with this flyer, and they were passing them out, volunteers. And they were like, hey, it's kind of like pushing things on people. They're just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And I'm a little bit stylistically different. And so no matter what you're doing, just say hi to somebody and then wait for that opportunity. And there were 4 charities we're working with. And I was complaining to one of my coworkers about all the hours we're putting in at work and having to go do charity work. And as I'm standing out there with these volunteers that are just doing their hardest to get this job done, I thought, man, what am I complaining about at all? Is there are people at all these great groups that need help this holiday season, and whether you give an hour of your time or 4 hours of your time to help make a difference, it really does help. And it's not necessarily that you're having to go out and feed them and do that work, but if you can, it's wonderful. And I will tell you that there are people in Yakima that are hurting more so than other cities. Yes. And there are groups that need the help, but don't have the ability or the leadership or sometimes the know-how to get that help and raise that money and make a difference. But don't get discouraged. I thank you for your time today. I hope I didn't bounce all over. I am ADD, but thanks to my pharmacist father, I have some medication. To help me stay focused. And tell all your young people, if they need help getting where they want to go, let me know. I'm happy to write letters in the last 3 months. Instead of doing pardons as mayor, I can just write a lot of reference letters and help people. Whatever I can do for you, let me know. Thank you.